All right, kings and queens, your majesties, welcome back to the channel. Trust you and yours are well and you're loving yourself and others like always. Many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, to our anonymous supporters, to all of you, my esteemed subscribers. You are loved, celebrated, and of course appreciated. So PLO Lumumba's student is calling him out, and it's about the situation of South Africa. When I told you here that this situation is tricky and emotional, and so I'm not going to take side, I know a good number of you were disappointed, and you had your own notion about me. I told you that I'm not going to be like those who are 100% in support of South Africa and are hailing them, instigating them, continue, take your land back, you know them. And South Africans love them so much. We are seeing that, okay? And I'm still not going to be that person you want me to be, to support the immigrants and their acts, their behaviors of not documenting themselves properly. I told you I'm not going to support that. Because if you want Africa's unity truly, when you go to a land, you have to hearken to the rules of that land. And I told you here that this energy, if this energy was diverted to the government, it would have been better. And that is why Ramaphosa he doesn't care. You see him, he says he supports his people because they are doing the right thing, right? Because he knows that the energy of South Africans is going to the wrong part. And so he's sitting down quietly and it's like he supports them. We are seeing that clearly. And I told you that I'm not going to make that mistake of taking side in this situation. If we truly want Africa's unity, we should be ready to tell ourselves the truth even if it hurts. I'm not going to support you. If you are illegal immigrants, leave them. They told you to leave them. Pack your bags and leave. Why are you still there when they asked you to leave? And you South Africans, kicking out Africans, beating people when you are supposed to divert your energy to your government, scold your government for allowing illegal immigration continue. You refuse to listen. And I also said in here that South Africans are like, they have been locked in the bottle for a long time. There is no air. And it seems like the bottle was kept under the sun and the bottle exploded. That is South Africa's situation. In as much as we know that that is the situation, I will never support the dehumanization that other Africans are receiving in South Africa. And so you see, I am not for South Africa, I'm not for the immigrants. I call out your behaviors as I should. And you are not all happy. But that's fine. Most of you unsubscribe, that's still fine. That's okay. Those that are for me will remain and they will be here. All right? So, according to PLO Lumumba, South Africa is a danger to Africa's unity. And South Africa must be called out by all Africans of goodwill. That is what he said. And a student of his begged to differ. Let's listen to him and we continue.
Oh, Professor Lumumba, with all due respect, I'm your student, but I have to challenge you on this one. I'm sorry. We won't be able to unite Africa with this approach. Some of these statements cannot be coming from you. We consider you one of the top voices, Pan-African voices that we have on the continent, and everything that you say matters, right? And that is important. You see, Professor, you can't on one side be pushing the message that Africa must unite now, and then you go on to say things that push us further away from that unity. You see, we can address violence while at the same time also not dismissing what ordinary people are raising on the ground, And I think that if anyone calls themselves Pan-Africans, anyone, then in moments like these, your responsibility is to be a voice of reason, Not because you know everything, no, but because you understand that Africa is too complicated, man. If you have spent years studying this continent, then you know that our problems are never as simple as they look on social media, right? They're layered, they are historical, they are emotional, economic, they're political, they are just too much. That's why I get worried when I see Africans speaking in absolutes here. 65 million South Africans cannot be wrong about everything they are experiencing, right? At the same time, other Africans are also expressing genuine concern, genuine pain. That's valid also. Several truths can exist at the same time. And that's exactly why we should slow down before we judge the situation hard. If African problems were as easy to understand as we are making them seem, people would have solved them a long time ago. But that's not the case. I have said this before. Pan Africanism requires that we acknowledge pain and suffering wherever it is raised on the continent. If there is noise in South Africa, we don't dismiss it. We zoom in, we ask questions, we try to understand the full story before deciding what we think, right? Because if we cannot do that, my people, with one another, then I don't even know what exactly do we mean when we talk about one Africa. This moment is bigger than South Africa. It's testing our ability to handle disagreements as Africans. Can we listen to each other before we react? Can we challenge our own assumptions? Can we leave room just for the possibility, that we don't have the full picture? Because if we can't do that now, my people, then our future continental challenges will be even harder. Professor, the African problem is too complex to speak about with absolute certainty. We know this. The more you study this continent, the less certain you become. You learn to calm your emotions, you soften your anger, you ask yourself better questions. You realize that there's always another layer to the story. Always, right? So before we rush to conclusions, my people, let's ask ourselves one simple question here. What might I be missing? I'm far from this story, right? What might I be missing? I can promise you today, one Africa will become a reality if we can do that. But if we can't, and before I end, I just want to acknowledge something, right? I know that this moment is too emotional. I know that people are being pushed out. I know their families affected, and my own people are affected deeply. They are sleeping in the cold. I know there are videos that make you angry. Sometimes you watch them and you don't even want to watch anything else. You don't want to hear anything else after that. I get it. But I also think that this is exactly when Africa needs voices of reason, man. People who can acknowledge that pain, but still have the courage to ask, what are we missing here? Voices that can rise above emotion long enough to understand what is really happening with people. Because if our emotions become the end of this conversation, we may never get to the truth. And if we don't get to the truth, we will never find a solution, right? I'm not asking you people to ignore what you are seeing. No, I'm asking us to understand it fully. Because if we genuinely want solutions, my people, and we are honest about it, then we have to understand the problem deeply. And that's what I believe, man, that Pan-Africanism asks us to do. I think that's what Pan-Africanism really asks from us. And right now, it's sad.
Majesties, I'll leave the name of his handle on the screen. I think it's on the video itself so that you get to his discussions. He is reasonable and he says, and I quote, "This moment is bigger than South Africa." And of course it is. South Africa's discussions on this channel is as old as the channel. And that's why I deliberately brought up all the videos that I made about South Africa 2 years ago. And to let you know that I've been talking about this issue for a long time. It's not today. Okay? And he said, and I quote again, "We can only survive when we reason together." Reasoning together is where the problem is. Because nobody wants to listen. Everybody just want to use their emotion. And it's unfortunate that a lot of persons are taking advantage of this situation for their own selfish interest. I'm telling you. There are people that South Africans love listening to. These are people who support all their actions 100%. They are there. They're encouraging the person keeps up. There are people. And there are people that other Africans love to listen to. And these people keep instigating the immigrants to remain in South Africa. Don't leave, remain here. Pan-Africanism. These people are just xenophobic. They're Afrophobic. They don't want you to be there. You have to remain. Fight your way. If they come to you, fight them. And while all of these are going on the internet, people perceive this thing and they take this information, they go about with this information. It is because of this escalation of the situation deliberately that we had situation where South Africans had unalive one of their own, thinking the person was a foreign national. We also had situations where South Africans had unalive other nationals in South Africa. Recently, a Ghanaian was unalived because we have refused to reason. We have refused to reason, and it's unfortunate. This is painful. It's hurting that this is what we have become. And the government that we should have faced, the government that our energy should have been diverted to, the government is there living their lives, embezzling more funds, and we are dealing with each other. The masses in every country in the continent of Africa should not be looking at themselves as the enemy. All this energy should be diverted to the government. But no, we will not listen, we will not want to reason. And it's unfortunate that we have situations like this going on. Now, to the statement that Professor Lumumba made, that South Africa is a danger to Africa's unity. That word, that phrase, I don't know how you see this, but to me, I feel like that's to the extreme. Yeah. Because if when South Africans began to complain about immigration, the government had listened and began to work on it, I don't think we'll have what we have today. If people had listened to South Africans talking about the number of or the influx of immigrants being too much, we wouldn't have what we have today. See? And while all of this was going on, the government refused to listen to South Africans. See? That's why we have what we have today. And he said that South Africa must be called out by all Africans of goodwill. Inasmuch as we are calling out South Africa or South Africans for what they are doing, we should also not forget to also talk to immigrants that when they go to a nation, they should respect the laws of that land. They should get documented. I was expecting that the professor should add that to his statement, but he didn't add that. And I know you all will not see anything wrong with it. But these are the little things that matter, especially from people who are key voices on the continent of Africa. I know we are angry. I know that, like he said, the situation is, when you watch some things, you'll be like, what is wrong with South Africans? What is wrong with the immigrants? You were told to leave. They gave you dates. Cars came. Planes came. Some of you ran away. You refused to go home. Now you're on the streets. You're crying. And you want the pity of the world. When you should have avoided this situation. What is happening in South Africa today is a situation that could have been avoided. The government failed. South Africans failed. The immigrant failed. Africa failed. We all failed. And it's high time we begin to look into ourselves and look for solutions instead of pinning blame on one group and leaving the other group. We all have fault here. We have faulted. We all have faulted. We all have made mistakes. We all have a hand in what is going on. And we have to talk to ourselves to provide solutions to situations that is happening. Remember that I love you. You might not be happy with this analysis. You might, of course, you've not been happy already from the beginning because some of you, there was a comment that was shown to me. One of you was like, "Oh, you're talking like you're supporting these people. There are times you talk like you don't support them because I don't support anybody. I don't. Yes, there is economic inflation everywhere. But before you go to a land, be sure that you are living there legally. And there are illegal immigrants everywhere, even in Europe and America. There are illegal immigrants everywhere. If the Europeans are taking to the streets and beating up Africans, the way South Africans are taking to the street and beating up their fellow Africans, will you like it? Sure, you will call out the European nation that is doing that. But it is you doing it to your own brothers. What I'm saying is, you have the right to want to live in your country peacefully and enjoy your wealth. But you should have done it the better way. And those who led this match and match, I think they had the right knowledge to have channeled the energy to the right position. But they didn't channel the energy to the right place. They channeled it to the wrong place, and that is the people that they are putting in this situation. If this energy was channeled to the government, it should have been better. And by now, there should have been a better solution to the situation of South Africa. I rest my case here because I've spoken a lot. I'm going to see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others. Stay safe, stay positive, always your majesty. Bye for now.